Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. We are learning more about a shootout between police and a suspect in a Raleigh neighborhood. At the time of recording this on Wednesday evening, a Raleigh police officer is in critical condition and another man along with the suspect are dead. WRAL's Shaun Gallagher has been a part of the team of reporters we've had trying to piece together what led to this shootout. Shaun, thanks for being here.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start here because this has been a really chaotic situation over the last 24 hours or so. Just when you think like, okay, maybe things are getting more calm, something else happens is what it's felt like. And I feel like what exemplifies that most is what it was like when you went out to the neighborhood on Tuesday night. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
Yeah, I mean, the craziest part is, we all were preparing for this snowstorm. I mean, that in and of itself felt historic. So, we were bundled up, ready to cover, snow all night. I actually had to do, a live hit at 6 p.m. About, weather conditions, try to keep people informed. But, like 2-3 minutes before we went to air, I got a call from one of our assignment editors to say, like, hey, we need you to go haul it over to this neighborhood. There's reports of a possible officer involved shooting. So we were like, oh wow, all right. So we get over there and snow's coming down pretty good, and we get into this neighborhood that feels very quaint, very cute, like just run of the mill kind of neighborhood. And there's a cop there from Raleigh PD who's just like, hey guys, just kind of hang out here. We just don't want anybody getting too close. Like kind of an active scene. Felt really mundane, if we're being honest. And then we had to kind of get set up because we knew it was like a very large scene. I mean, there were dozens of police vehicles there at that point. So we got up and we were ready to go live and, kind of send something back for the station to use. And, I just kind of start laying out the scene like normal. And then,
okay, we're hearing live gunshots right now. An officer is telling us that we have to move because of that.
Immediately, almost as soon as we start, we hear gunshots. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a scene like that, but you might hear one or two. This was like a round of gunfire.
Absolutely, sir.
I'll get behind cover.
Yeah. Here we go. So we're being asked to move. There are a lot of shots fired right now. We're hearing a number of bangs right now.
Like it felt like it was, a dozen shots, if not more. And it's hard because we have like an earpiece in, so we can kind of hear anchors and all that kind of stuff. So I've only got one ear that is available to hear, and like I kind of hear some stuff, but then I hear that cop that was there, and he's just like, guys, find cover, get somewhere, get behind a tree, get behind your car now. I don't want you guys getting hit by any strays. And I've never experienced that. I've lived in cities for the better part of my adult life. You hear gunshots, you have that kind of question. Is that fireworks or gunshots? You know the difference, but never like this. I mean, we were still several blocks away, like around the corner. But I mean, it was just, rounds and rounds and rounds of gunfire, big booms that I'm assuming are like flashbangs inside the house as police are trying to get inside. At this point, I've been on the scene for 5 minutes. I have no clue what's going on. I don't know anything yet. I just know there's a huge police presence. And then I hear gunfire. So I run and get behind our vehicle. Our photographer, Kurt Tremper, he gets behind a tree, but his camera's still rolling. And we just kind of give play-by-play of exactly what we're going through. And it felt chaotic, and it just got more chaotic throughout the night. Police vehicles zipping up and down these like residential streets, trying to clear the way for ambulances to get there, for ambulances to be able to get out, to, try to save what we later learned was an officer who was shot in the process.
Right. And obviously we're going to keep talking about all of those details. I do want to just, while we're on the subject of what it's like to be a reporter in these situations, like the other thing I think about when you're talking about having that earpiece in and you're kind of losing that sense. But to me, as a former nightside reporter, the other sense you lose when you're reporting at night is you can't see because you've got lights in your face too,
right.
So that the camera can see you in the darkness. And so I'm sure that was just very scary for you and Kurt. And thank goodness you guys happened to be in a spot where that officer was able to help you guys get to where you needed to be and stay safe. But very scary, and I know we were all back in the newsroom listening to your feed and just really hoping you guys were going to be okay, and as we were learning what was going on in this situation. So thank you for all of that. So as you said, chaotic situation, details continued to come in once things started to get under control. How much do we know about what led up to this shootout in the first place?
Yeah, so police have not given us much information officially. They just kind of gave us an idea of who was injured, the fact that 2 people were killed, the suspect, and then another man, but got the opportunity to talk to a neighbor who lived across the street from this house. And she had some really interesting perspective. She was able to, help the woman who was inside that house during the shooting. This woman, in the middle of some of the commotion, ran from her house. She was barefoot, no jacket, running for her life from her home, and found refuge in her neighbor's house. The neighbor that I talked to said, she saw her neighbor run across like this snowy field, and then duck behind a vehicle. I mean, this sounds like a war zone almost, that, you're just trying to find anything to put between yourself and what's causing the danger. And, her family noticed her and said, like, hey, get inside, like, come in here. And that's where, we're starting to get a narrative of exactly what happened. This woman, Jill Roner, lives in that house in that Raleigh neighborhood. She has an ex-husband that she split up from about 10 or 11 years ago. And ever since then, that ex-husband has just been, tormenting her relentlessly. His name is Antonio Rodriguez, a 70-year-old man who has been stalking her. He has convictions for stalking. He also, this is in her words, I actually spoke to Jill over the phone on Wednesday. She tells me that he actually was doing some sort of revenge porn, sending, lewd photos of her to her coworkers. And he's been convicted for this. He did not go to jail for it, but he did get probation, and there was a protective order that she's had in place, she says, since they got divorced, because what she said to me was he's always been kind of a fruit fly or a gnat that she thought would always be around, but she never thought that it would ever get to this level of, violence to this nature. But this is all what the neighbor tells me. So Jill was at her house with her boyfriend making dinner.
Her ex-husband showed up at her doorstep with flowers and a taser, and he started firing at them with the taser, and they fought him off with chairs. And when they got him out, they took a minute to breathe. They thought they were cool. And then he came through the back door with the shotgun and started blasting through the back door. Jill said the last she saw was her boyfriend bleeding out on the kitchen. I was horrified for her. I mean, I've dated crazy guys in the past before that wouldn't leave me alone. So when I saw she was going through this, I was like, damn, that really sucks. We were just really worried about her. It's really scary.
That was her last moment with a guy that she tells me was the love of her life. She's an older woman herself. She's 67 years old. She said it took her 67 years to find the love of her life, but she was looking forward to, a future with him. That, he was over and they were having dinner, but he was helping her pack. She was getting ready to move out of that house to move in with him, to start the rest of their life together. And now all of that won't happen because of, an ex-husband who was hell-bent on ruining her life.
It's just terrible. It's just unimaginable what she's going through, what her boyfriend's family is going through in all of this. And of course, there was another person involved in all of this, which was a Raleigh police officer as well. So what was a series of events that played out once police got there?
Yeah, so police said that they got the call around 5:30. Oddly enough, it was for a burglary. We need more clarification about what that is. I'd assume that it's because, Antonio was trying to break into their home. Maybe that's how they classified it, but that's neither here nor there. So about an hour later is when all of this, significant shooting happened back and forth. I mean, I'm always hesitant to use words like shootout because they, can kind of be, dramatic. This was that. It was a shootout. It was volleys of gunfire back and forth. from what we could understand through, radio traffic from, police radio traffic, it sounds like all of this happened inside. There were, some officers who may have been barricaded in various parts of the house trying to protect themselves. But from what we understand, Antonio shot at police. He hit one of those officers who, was rushed out of there. He had to go through surgery on Tuesday night. And as of Tuesday night, Chief Estella Patterson said that officer got out of surgery and he's still in critical condition. So he's still fighting for his life. But, the fighting progressed there on scene. It didn't stop just because that officer was struck. But Antonio Rodriguez was hit as well. We don't know how many times, where he was hit. We honestly don't know if it was self-inflicted or not. There's still so much to just, be understood about this investigation that, we've got the narrative from, Jill Rohner, but it's the police who are going to give us the facts. And we just kind of need to wait and see, exactly how that gunfight transpired and, why it ended the way that it did.
All right, let's take a quick break right there. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the twists that came as this investigation continued on Wednesday. Shaun, before the break, you were walking us through what you've learned from talking to some of the people who were directly involved in this shootout, and then what we know about the investigation from the police side. How are neighbors feeling? And then, what was going on with the investigation in that neighborhood on Wednesday?
Yeah, so I know we started off this talk, about my experience, my photographer's experience of showing up in a neighborhood where there was so much gunfire. That's nothing compared to the people who lived next door, lived around the corner, who call that place home. I mean, we spent a lot of time out there over the, 48 hours that we basically spent there. And, people walk their dogs around there regularly. It is the most adorable little town I've seen in a very long time. And this happened, stone's throw away from an area that they otherwise feel safe. So, I mean, to say they're stunned is a vast understatement. I mean, they're glad that nothing worse happened to them individually. Police say this was an isolated incident, and it surely sounds that way. So, yeah, it's great that no one else got hurt. But, I mean, if you can see the video that we took there and understand how close these houses are, I mean, a bullet doesn't have a name on it, right? They could have gone anywhere, and luckily no one else was hurt there. So, first of all, those people, they're getting their lives back together. Finally, tape was starting to come down Wednesday evening, but not before another scare. While we were out there, talking about the latest that we could find out, looking at the house, we could see that, the back garage was like destroyed. We saw that there was a Bearcat or a SWAT type vehicle that was out there that kind of, pummeled through that garage door at some point. So we were getting an idea there, but there was this, white vehicle that was separated from that scene, but had, police tape all around it. And, it was snow covered, but you could still see the license plate. And, if you're from the Northeast, that kind of, yellowish hue is immediately, that's a New Jersey license plate. It hands down. So I saw that, and my photographer, Kurt Tremper, he's actually from New Jersey too. And we both were like, oh, that's weird. I mean, why would a New Jersey plate be here? But through a little digging, we can't search for license plates. That's like a federal law. But, we kind of had an idea of who the suspect was at that point. So we just did a little, digging, and there were, criminal records with Antonio Rodriguez having a New Jersey license plate. So, we kind of pieced two and two together that, this must be this guy's car. And that's why police are protecting it as much as they are. And then probably around maybe like 2:45, 3 o'clock, activity picked up again. Like police, it almost felt like police were hopping back into that mode, like they need to protect everyone around here. And they pushed us back pretty far from where that vehicle was. And, lo and behold, the investigators were on scene checking that car. They found something they believed to be suspicious with that vehicle. What that is, I don't know at this point, but they brought in their hazardous device unit, which, for the layman, it appears to be like a bomb squad. So maybe they thought that there was some sort of explosive nature to the vehicle that maybe Rodriguez, rigged it in some way to be like a booby trap or something. I'm not sure at this point, but they pushed us pretty far away for the better part of, about 2-3 hours. And they brought in, one of those robots to come in and, keep officers safe if there is an issue with that vehicle. They use that to investigate the vehicle. And I'm told by Raleigh Police, they did find some suspicious items within that vehicle. They wouldn't get specific on what those items were, but they said that there was no threat to the area, so they opened it back up. But, for a neighborhood that's already on edge because of what they were experiencing, this was just, a lot of people just going, are you serious again? The tape's going back up. We're having to shelter in place. We can't go outside. I mean, talk about just a crazy 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And really feeling for those folks there. I can't imagine what that does to your peace of mind to have that happening right there in your community, in your neighborhood. And as you said, there's still a lot of questions about what that episode on Wednesday was about and just the investigation as a whole. When do we expect an update from police about these details?
Yeah, so I would expect, with my guess, the first thing that we're going to get is a return on the search warrant that police filed for that vehicle. When I was talking to the Raleigh Police PIO, Lieutenant Borneo, he told me, keep an eye out. That is going to be released to the public soon. It's not going to be sealed or anything like that. So I would expect that, I would expect that within the next couple of days. That should give us a better idea of exactly why they were searching that vehicle, possibly what they found. And it may include a detail or two about, a narrative of maybe some things we don't know about what happened inside that house. And then Chief Estella Patterson also said during her press conference late Tuesday night that they would be releasing a 5-day report. So, that hopefully will have the police narrative of exactly what happened, which may be a little bit more official than what you might read in a search warrant. But I would say, within a week, we should have a clearer picture of exactly what happened. But, even to this point, we do have a decent idea that this was a domestic violence situation that, this sounds crazy, but it got out of hand. That's underplaying it. But 2 people are dead, an officer fighting for his life. And there's a woman who, lost the love of her life, all because of a crazy ex-husband.
Right. It's just an unimaginable tragedy. We appreciate your reporting on this. Thank you so much, Shaun. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. That's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.